All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Docs Outside the Box. I am your host, Dr. Nii. I'm joined by...
Dr. Renee.
God. Here we go.
Ay, ay. Ay, 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 ay.
Are you done?
Ay, ay. Now I'm done.
You didn't hold your ear.
Ay, 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 ay.
Alfred, make sure you edit that out.
You leave that in, Alfred.
You're getting a little too creative with it now.
You leave that in, Christian.
It's getting a little awkward now. Anyway, y'all, welcome to another episode of Docs Outside the Box. We got the new tagline. Listen, this is a fusion of money, medicine, as well as pop culture. We got a lot to talk about in this episode.
What we talking about?
So actually, this episode is going to be a feedback episode. This is going to be something related to what people have written to us, have asked us in some form or fashion. We may get some feedback on Instagram or email or what have you, but this is an opportunity for us to kind of try to respond back to a lot of the feedback that we've been getting on, previous episodes. So I want to take that moment to jump into that.
Most people would call that a Q&A.
I don't know if it's Q&A because people aren't really sending us questions. There's maybe one question. Actually, there aren't any questions. It's just feedback.
Ah.
Right?
Okay.
So can I just be the skip of this show? Like, you the talent. You Shannon. All right?
Now skip.
All right, there you go. You here to entertain people.
Don't
I'm here to
do
make
that
sure that
now,
the show
Skip.
goes the right way.
Don't do that
See
now,
this
skip.
show? You see this?
I'm going to get a part in my hair.
His part is strong.
Yeah, like that part looked like, seriously, like somebody put it in there in like 1965.
He's got a 1970s part, yo, because if you go even to my album, my photo album, you look at some of my child photos, you can see a strong part that used to be right here.
Yeah, man.
Oh, my God. Especially the Catholic school days.
Gonna put that part in there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yo.
So we got a lot to get through today, guys. This is a feedback episode. Like I said, we're going to read a review from Apple Podcasts. We always love that. Okay, and then we're going to jump into actually some feedback that we have gotten from our text messaging. Remember, you can text us at 833-230-2860. Literally, as soon as you text us, that comes directly to my phone, to her phone. So you can actually interact with us directly. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to talk about Awning, which is that online platform. Someone texted us and wanted to know what our thoughts.
Yeah, what's up with Awning, yo?
What's our results of that? And then that's pretty much it. But we got a lot to talk about in these things. So why don't we jump right into it? Mm-hmm. I got my notes. I feel like I'm Skip. Right? I feel like I'm ready to go.
No mercy.
Keep going.
No, because then
You don't know the words.
For it. Of course I know it. It literally is no mercy like a million times.
Let's just make debate. I don't make mistakes. I just make
debate. Whatever.
Shout out to Lil Wayne. That's I actually think I agree with Skip. That's the best intro at least in that like
in ESPN
sports.
land.
They're not ESPN, they're on Fox.
Oh, sorry, that's true. I forgot. They're not ESPN anymore.
No, it's not. They're not ESPN. He's not on ESPN anymore.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's what you meant?
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, guys, let's jump into an Apple Podcast review. I love these. This was a 5-star review. This was from another Dr. Renee. But I don't know. When it's with one E, right, with an egu at the end. Did I say it right?
Imposter.
But it's with one E.
Yes.
Is that a man?
Well, that is the male form of that name, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is a man, because I actually do know and went to high school with a Renee who was female, and she used one E. But that is the male form of the name Renee.
Well, Dr. Renee with one E says, love this podcast. I truly enjoyed Dr. Parham. Shout out to Dr. Parham,
mm-hmm.
Dr. Bala.
That was a great episode.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Right?
She made it great.
So I truly enjoyed Dr. Parham and Atomic Habits reviews. Love your energy, guys. Keep it coming. So we appreciate that, Dr. Renee.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you
Renee.
very much. Yay. All right, simmer down now. Thank you very much for the 5-star review. We appreciate that, and we appreciate that feedback.
Yeah.
Because that lets us know what to do. So Dr. Parham, if you guys have not listened to that was an episode about how this doctor was doing all the right things in terms of saving her money,
mm-hmm.
going into index funds. And at one point, she had almost $500,000 in her savings account.
Yeah,
just sitting there, getting like 1% interest.
If that much.
And she finally woke up and realized that she needed to have her money working harder for her. Mm-hmm. So she got into real estate, and she's been able to really triple X, quadruple X, or whatever whatever the hell it is. Yeah. 5X, 10X, whatever it is. She's doing really good right now. She's reached her FI number really fast. So that was a dope episode. And then Atomic Habits. We've gotten a lot of, not just from this Apple podcast right here, but we've gotten a lot of feedback. I got people who wrote to me on Instagram, people who wrote to us on LinkedIn saying that they really appreciated our perspective on this book.
Yeah.
Some people souped up that we put them on the book. Other people just heard of the book, never opened the book, but just saw the clips of what it's done for me.
Right.
And are like, maybe I should start reading this book more. So
yeah.
It's been helping me. So check out the most recent episode. I don't even know when this episode should come out. Either way, the one where I talk about 16 weeks of working out, 4 books read in 4 months, like that is the results of 4 months of actually doing and creating a system with Atomic Habits. That book is dope.
Dopey dope, yeah.
So look, let's move on because I could tell already, so for folks who don't know, if you're not seeing us on YouTube, shout out to y'all who watch us on YouTube. Renee's eyes are red. The energy is not there. Trust me, I know my wife. The energy is not there. So likely
tired.
She's tired, mainly because she is post-call.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yeah, I am. I'm post-call today. So yeah, as much as I'm trying to pep myself up and singing along with Lil Wayne, I am tired.
Mm-hmm. And at this job, you are per diem, correct?
Yes, per diem.
How you like it?
I mean, it's good. I like being per diem because I get to choose, when I work, how I work. It's very similar to locums, so... for those of you that don't know, I work typically only one weekend per month. And when I do, I work the night shift for 12 hours.
On the night shift. Hey.
You remember that song? Yeah, shout out to...
Shout out to who? Shout out to who?
To Marvin Gaye, because that's who the song was for.
Saying stuff, I was like, you don't know who it is.
Okay, and Jackie Robinson. Not Jackie Robinson. Jackie... Dang it! Jackie Chan. No. I forgot who else.
Anyway,
I'm tired.
Listen.
Anyway,
so with per diem work,
yeah.
You are employed by the hospital.
Yes.
You work for them, but they have no say in your schedule whatsoever.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's, like a per diem. They call it flex locums, but it's really per diem work. So, I just kind of come in when I say that I can come in, and I work, like I said, 12-hour shifts, usually a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, so you do Friday night shift, Saturday night shift, and Sunday night shift, and then you come back home on Monday.
Yeah.
They take care of your hotel.
Yeah.
And then you pay your own, but you have to pay your own gas because technically you're W-2.
Because I'm W-2,
you pay your own gas, you pay your own food. Mm-hmm. They take care of medical malpractice.
Yes.
And that, for the most part, there's really not much tax benefits. Actually, there are no tax benefits.
Yeah, there's no tax benefits because I'm W-2. Yeah.
So I think the biggest benefit is being able to work whenever you want to.
Yeah.
And go from there. And they cover your medical malpractice.
Right.
And then the amount of hours that you're putting in, though, you're not eligible for health insurance.
Well, I currently no, but I would be eligible for health insurance if I bumped up the number of hours.
So if you were to tell someone, hey, I would do per diem work or I would do locums, like just straight locums, which one do you prefer?
Ooh, well, probably straight locums.
Straight locums for me, definitely.
Yeah, because
definitely straight locums for me.
Yeah, probably straight locums because of the tax benefits that I would get. I just think that working straight locums just gives you that much more of a benefit than just picking when you work and how you work in comparison to per diem. So I'd have to say locums.
So I think for me, I started thinking about how I look at locums now versus how I looked at locums when I was, right out of fellowship or even during residency when you were talking about it. I think still a lot of the terms that we talk about goes over people's heads. Like
Right.
W-2 versus 1099 versus locums versus per diem, tax benefits, all these different things. Like a lot of that stuff can get confusing.
Yeah.
So, I'm really excited that you can go to locumstory.com and check out that website, because I think, when you go there, you'll see literally, you'll get like an A to Z type definitions on, or A to Z type of, what's the word I want to use? Or the way, descriptive way I want to use it is basically they kind of help you understand all the ins and outs of locums.
Right.
Without getting too, like, you don't feel like you're reading too much. It's really like in bite-sized information where you get it. And then for me, I think the other thing is the tax benefits that they talk about, all of these different things that they talk about, I think are huge. Me, money talks. I like the fact that I can, tell how much I'm making and how much I would make with company A, company B, company C.
Those comparisons.
So that's why I like locumstory.com, is because when you go there, it's really unbiased information. They give you all the information you need to know. So I like that. I like money. I like to talk about money. I don't know what you like.
Well, we all know that you like talking about money.
Give me my money. Give my money. Give my money.
Yeah, we know. No, but seriously, I would choose locum over per diem. I think Locum Story is definitely a great resource, especially if you're like, well, I don't really know if I want to do locums.
It's like Grand Hustle when people, when they were talking about the therapist and people look at Locum Story, they're like, damn.
You mean Grand Crew?
Grand Crew, yes. Right?
What did you say, Grand Hustle?
But I think if people go to the website, they'll see that, there's a lot of information there that I definitely, when I was 2012, I didn't know was out there and stuff. So I always tell people, make sure you go to locumstory.com, check it out. For me, the biggest thing that I like about it also is it gives you pay range. It gives you the typical schedule.
Right.
So if you go and you type in trauma surgeon, you go and you type it in, it will give you what the typical schedule is. It'll also give you what the typical assignment length. How long will you be on an assignment?
Right,
Whether it's
typically,
1 week,
yeah.
if it's a month, if it's 3 months. And then it also will let you know if your field is in high demand or not.
Which, I will tell you, a lot of the questions, we get a lot of questions about locums, but that is one of them, depending on the specialty. I've gotten people, who have asked me like, well, I don't know, is anybody really looking for, an allergy or an immunologist, for locums? And so,
that's a good point.
I don't actually know the answer to that. So that would be a great place to go and look and see. Like, I don't know if it is locums, really good for an allergist.
Not to cut you off, but that's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
So when I mentioned before, I have it here, the pay range, the typical schedule, the assignment length, and then if your field is in high demand or not, it actually puts it in icons.
Right.
So it's really easy to read, and it'll show, the last thing it says is, are you in high demand or not?
Right.
So when people ask those questions, like, can I get a job as an allergist? It's like, well, like, check out this site. It'll tell you, where, you're going to be in demand. If you're not, it still lets you know what your rate is, and then we can go from there. So I like it. I think it's dope. Guys, the link to learn about locumstory.com, it's in the show notes. I want you guys to check it out. And, for me, it's unbiased information, get a lot of benefits. That's where it's at. I don't know if you have anything else you want to say about that.
Yeah, we're going to be partnering with them on a special project that I think, will really pique a lot of people's interest. We're going to take you through what it's like to get a locums gig. So you should stay tuned for that.
Love it. Dope.
Yep.
Docs outside the box, we're always leveling up.
Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Yo, so let's move on to text messaging, right? Remember, everybody, you can text us directly at 833-230-2860.
Put it down there, Alfred.
Alfred, hook it up. Put it down there. 833-230-2860. Everybody, text us what you think, and we'll go from there. So listen, Shayla wrote to us. She said, just listen to the episode with Dr. Shulay. Like you said.
That was a dope episode.
I know.
She made it really dope.
Like you said, gotta get over that fear mentality if I want to be outside the box of the status quo. And then I wrote back to her, texted back to her directly, and then she wrote back, facts, glad to be part of the community, love the show, and I'll stay tuned in. You see that, guys? Like, just like
Thanks,
that, boom.
Dr. Shayla.
We can communicate with each other, and she can let us know what's going on. So, Shayla, thank you very much for writing in. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, so our second text message, and this is going to be a long one. That's why I waited till after the break on this one.
Okay.
This is from Justin. He is an interventional radiology fellow. He writes, are you going to come back around and tell us how your awning investment is going? So I don't know if you guys remember, but late last year, we were looking for another investment property.
Yep.
Particularly in Houston, Texas, H-Town. And we decided to use Awning, which is this online platform where it makes it really easy for you, particularly if you're far away, to invest in faraway markets. It does a lot of the research for you.
Yeah.
We ran the numbers on Awning, and the numbers are very similar to the numbers that we would use on our own online calculator, or that we would use in similar courses that teach you how to calculate a whole bunch of different numbers to determine if a property is worth investing or not.
Right.
And to me, I liked it a lot. At the time, one of the biggest, I don't know if it's a plus or minus, but one of the biggest things was that you're really kind of just locked into single family homes. It wasn't multifamily. But we were really close to purchasing a property on Awning. We put in two bids. We should have put in way more, but there was a lot going on in our life. So just long story short, no, we have not purchased a property through Awning yet.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that we are not. We just got a lot of shit going on, basically.
We do. We do.
So we need to slow down a little bit and kind of get, the tables, get the seats at the chair.
Yeah.
Get the seats at the table, kind of.
Well, yeah. I mean, when we talked about Dr. Parham earlier, and so when I listened to her episode, and then got this text message, I was like, okay, that's a sign. Like, we need to get back into the real estate game and, just go back to Awning. I really liked Awning as well. Still like it. And I think it's something that we should definitely double down on for our next property because, Houston is a hot market. And while, yes, it's single family homes, I think that's what sells down there. Well, I think that's what rents down there.
We get into a point though. I think we're gonna have to start looking out more on the outskirts of Houston because it's picking up quick.
Yeah,
it's picking up quick.
Yeah,
it's to the point where now we're starting to say, hey, maybe we need to look at San Antonio. So when we jump back into this, we probably gonna have to look at San Antonio now. The thing that I wanted to bring up is why haven't we jumped into it?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. We've had some issues with our property. Let's jump into that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. The one in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Justin, we got to be real with you and let you know, we've had some issues with our property in Pennsylvania. And just to kind of give people a recap, our property, which is our first investment property ever, it's a 6-unit complex. It's in northeastern PA. It's doing okay. It's not doing great. It's not doing horrible. But it's taken a lot of our attention.
Yeah, and we probably need to optimize that first
before we jump into another property. And then, look, let me just be real with you. COVID really threw a wrench into the property. We purchased the property during COVID.
Yeah, November 2020.
Right. But what ends up happening, I think the number one thing is that we've had several tenants who have refused to pay because of needing COVID relief, basically.
Right, needing COVID relief. Yeah, we've had a couple of tenants who either haven't been able to pay or just didn't pay, and that has definitely
you might have to move your microphone back a little bit.
That has definitely made it a little more difficult.
You podcasted before.
We have 2 tenants that moved out.
Yeah. Well, they moved out after not paying rent for a long period of time.
Right, exactly. And then we finally got a tenant, but then there was an issue with that, and then that tenant ended up moving out literally months within moving in. Yeah, so I think overall from a 30,000-foot view, we did not get a chance to build up enough reserves so that when we weren't getting rent, all we had to do was just kind of go into those reserves to pay the mortgage or to pay other bills. And because we didn't get a chance to build that up because we started having these issues very quickly on, we had to go into our own savings to make these things work. But I think overall I'm not turned off by it.
I'm more annoyed. I'm very annoyed by it.
That I know you are.
Yeah, I'm very annoyed by it. But, you know, some of the things besides the folks who have refused to pay rent, they have left and we gotten new people in. And as a matter of fact, in the rear house where we were able to raise rent by $700.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were able to raise rent literally by $700 by bringing in someone new as well as doing renovations there. So during this time, 2 water heaters broke during that time. We had to replace the roof on the back house. That was very expensive. We had to renovate the inside of that back house. So you guys are saying, what's this back house thing? And I thought it was 6 units. So it's actually 2 properties. The first property, which is the largest property, that has actual 5 apartment buildings in there. And then there's a little like courtyard, like grassy knoll area. And then behind there is a house that is the last unit. So that makes a total of 6. So that whole entire place, we were able to increase the rents, but we had to do some renovation in there to get that rent.
Yeah.
Right. And then also at the same time, I know there's going to be some people who are cringing, some like real estate gurus. Don't judge us, all right? Don't judge us.
We're still learning.
We're still learning. But so for the first property that has 5 units, the water bill is not split.
Right.
So we are paying the water bill for that. And initially, I think, well, for a while, up until this year, it was manageable. Then all of a sudden, we started slowly noticing that the bill or the water usage started going up, doubled. And it stayed at a doubled rate for a couple of months. And then it just went up again. And then during that time, we sent our property manager over there to go check out what's going on.
Right.
And I don't know if they did how much of an evaluation they did. If they just
that was
people
questionable. Yeah.
But they finally went in and looked and found out that one of the tenants, the toilets were leaking. Or the toilet was just constantly running.
Right.
And I know everybody kept telling me, Leah, like, you know, you'd be surprised how much toilets can make your water bill go up. And I was like, whatever. Like,
it really
toilets?
Can. Yeah.
Damn.
It really can.
Woof.
We probably should go in and put like, you know, how people
put a brick in there or something.
Yeah, put a brick or put, you know, bottles of water in there or something. Yeah, but toilets definitely, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
That makes a difference.
Yeah, so, you know, we're going to have a long meeting with our CPA to discuss what kind of options that we can do, because I do think that we're probably going to be operating at a loss.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this year, or at least for 2021. What's this, 2022 now?
Yeah.
So we're working on 2021 taxes. I think we're going to be working on that. That's just me cursory just speaking right now. I haven't looked at all the numbers, but I think that's what's going on. So with all of those different things, it's taken a while for us, Justin, to really get to an even keel with where we are with that. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think once we get our bearings with this PA property, with the one in Pennsylvania, I think, you know, we'll definitely hit the ground running again. I'd like to hit the ground running again with Awning. You know, I really like the platform. We're very busy. And frankly, it's like, because we have so much going on, I'd like to use a platform that will allow us that basically will, you know, allow us in our busy lifestyle to be able to hit the ground running.
Right.
Otherwise, it's going to be back at it again and then doing numbers kind of manually or plugging it in to a calculator. And I'm like, even that, like if you want to run a lot of houses with, you know, with all of these numbers, you can do it much more easily with Awning. So that's what I'd like to use. That's my vote.
All right, cool. So Justin, that's where we at. We're going to use it. We just got some issues we got to take care of. So boom, there we go.
That's a good update, actually. I'm glad we updated the audience on that.
So actually, this next topic I was going to save until next episode, but I'm going to bring it up. So listen, I got to get my phone real quick. I'm going to step away for a quick second. You entertain the crowd. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody sing. Hey, go, 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 go.
All right, that
hey.
was horrible, guys.
You told me to entertain everybody. You didn't tell me what to do.
All right, so listen, this is something that I think actually will upset you, because it actually upsets me, because it actually speaks to the state of medical education and how expensive it is in the United States. So this was actually sent to me by one of our listeners.
Rutro.
His initials are MS. And he says, hey, Dr. Darko, do you think if I pursue PA school and I am in $275,000 of PA school debt, it's okay to, let me read this again. Hey, Dr. Darko, do you think if I pursue PA school and I am in $275,000 after PA school, it's still possible to repay and be okay financially? So basically what they're saying is, do I think if they go to PA school and they accumulate $275,000 of student loan debt, are they still able to repay their debt? I know there is PSLF, but want to make sure I am making a wise decision. I was just listening to your latest podcast episode and rethinking my plan.
Ruh-roh. Okay, man. First of all,
he's got a point though.
Before we go into that, I think that right now, with as much information as there is out there about student loans, people podcasting about personal finance, all this stuff, like honestly, medical education, the leaders in medical education need to realize
real quick. That episode is doing really well. Like what medical leaders need to know about.
I saw that.
Pre-med students. It's doing really well.
So that was episode 282. Yeah, that was episode 282. So I think, the calling of medicine, right, is definitely being kind of interrupted by am I going to be able to afford this? And I think, the leaders in medical education need to recognize that, you guys are not the only game in town anymore, right? That there are other voices at this table basically saying, well, if you go into medical education, or if you get a medical education, then fill in blank here. Right. So medical education leaders are typically like, well, if you go into medical education, or if you get a medical education, that you will be fulfilling a dream, you'll be taking care of communities, you'll be, doing all these things, you'll be fulfilling a calling. Well, the personal finance, the personal finance crew is like, well, you can get a medical education, but here's what it's going to cost you. And here's what you may or may not be able to pay. And so you're not the only game in town anymore.
Well, the way how I look at it is, like, as someone who was in college in the late 90s, I graduated 2000, the way in which I and the rest of the people in my graduating class, how they looked at college versus how people look at college now.
Yeah. And totally different.
How they look at college. Like now it's about just attaining skills.
Right.
And I think back then when we were in college, it was about what's the best school that you can go to.
Right. What diploma, what degree, is going to get you where you need to go.
And I remember specifically having an issue with financial aid my first year of med school. And I remember there was this third year college student who said, financial aid should never be a reason why you can't finish your degree. Made sense back then, but actually is, I think, a reason a lot of people are in trouble right now, which is, do you necessarily need to go to like an Ivy League type of school to get the skills, to get the degree that you need to go on to the next stage?
Right.
Right. So the reason I'm bringing that up, folks, is that I still think med schools take like an Ivy League mindset.
Yes.
To finances and financing their school, which is you basically pay to play. Right. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a PA, if you want to be whatever profession you want to do that happens to be something medically related, like, and it's definitely, I think at the top with medical school, it definitely is epitomized by this. You got to pay to play. And I think that they're not really thinking about how they're compromising the mission, the oath that we as doctors take, and for us to really make decisions that are just out of our what's the word I want to use? Out of our
skill set, purview, whatever.
It's not the skill set, but what I'm talking about is like there's this like empathy that we have, right?
I gotcha.
There's this good nature that we have. You know how people say like medicine is the last noble profession?
Yeah, it's a calling.
There's a calling, right? Like you're compromising, or excuse me, that calling could be compromised
Right.
when you got a ton of student loan debt and you already have significant amount of people making decisions as to what specialty they're going to choose, what parts of the country they're going to go to based off of the amount of money that they're going to be making.
Yeah.
Right? So when this guy brings up this concept, I'm like, yo, this is the issue. Like what he's saying is epitomizes the issue.
Yeah. That literally is what's going on right now. Like that is the thing right now.
Like, should I be a medical professional if I'm going to take on all of this debt?
And so, back in the 90s, right? And, before all of this, especially before there was so much information about student loan debt and just personal finance in general, people used to say, well, college is an investment. College is an investment. Now, people are taking that to heart. Like, okay, if college is an investment, what's my ROI? And how long is it going to take me to be able to do that? And ROI no longer means just, well, how much, right? How much am I going to be able to get with this degree? With this degree, it's how much am I going to be able to pay back? And then what am I going to have left after, I get paid?
People are asking the questions that they should have been asking in the 90s.
Yeah.
And the 2000s. And from my perspective,
what's the true investment?
It just seems like, okay, well, tuition is always going to go up as long as there's going to be a guarantor to make sure that the loans are going to be there. Right. So, I mean, if you know for a fact that Sallie Mae or Navient, which gives me all my, if you already know that they're always going to be there to provide these loans, what stops you from increasing the tuition, right? So that's a major issue. So with, what MS is mentioning is, his point about, I'm going to be in $275,000 of debt as a physician assistant. Can I still do this? Initially when I was in medical school, if I saw this, I'd be like, I slap in the back of the head and be like, yo, get your shit together. Like, come on, like,
what you thinking?
Are you trying to be a PA or what? Get her done, right? I don't know if that's necessarily the right perspective to have, right? Like these are real time decisions. It's almost like that Twitter post that went out where the med student said that she didn't realize the consequences of her decisions. And I think from if you're looking from an old man's perspective or someone from a perspective of get off my lawn, it's very quick to say, like you should have made decisions before. Like there's a bunch of people from different economic backgrounds, socio-economic backgrounds who don't really think about these type of things, right? So for us to quickly say, or for some people to quickly say, like that's the reason why you made this decision because you're financially illiterate. I don't know. That didn't sit right with me, right? So I think someone who's thinking about becoming a professional, on one hand, I'm like, look, if this is what you really want to do, then this is what you really want to do, right? Because there's a way to get to the point where you can get out of debt and do this.
Right.
But also at the same time, it's like, damn, $275K. And we're not even talking about interest.
Right.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of things to deal with.
I mean, so this is what I would say to MS. What I would say is, what you have right now is one number.
Change your initials too, man.
What you have right now is one number, right? And I think it's always important to recognize the fact that one number alone doesn't necessarily give you an equation, right? So you
what does that mean? What I don't.
You can't. In other words, you can't have an equation with one number.
Okay.
One equals what? Like, what does that equal? Right? In other words, you need more numbers. You need to be able to see, what is the likelihood that you're going to be making a certain salary.
Gotcha.
You need to be able to see, okay, if I live in this part of the country, what are my living expenses going to be? You need more numbers, right, to be able to make this decision. Because if you just look at one number, that's a very limited scope. Yes, $275,000, that's nothing to just sneeze at, right? Like, it is a lot of money, but we don't know what that means, relatively speaking, when that person gets to the point when they become a PA and they're going to be paying it back. So do you plan on getting a house? Do you plan on getting a car? What is your current status in terms of debt? Do you have
type of hospital situation you're going to be in?
Right.
Are you going to be in a clinic based?
Exactly.
Because right now I looked it up, like average not average, but like the salary range is anywhere between like 85 to like maybe even 120, maybe even higher than that for physician assistants. It's actually, I might even be wrong. I may be working with old information, but mathematical wise, it could be done. MS, like you definitely can use a combination of these benefits with student loans to be able to pay off your student loan debt, live a life that you want,
right?
But also at the same time make a huge dent in your student loans. And I think you can do it. I definitely think you can do it based off of your income.
Yeah.
But I do see what you're saying. Like there's just so many different variables that we need to know more to be able to give them a definitive answer. But I think overall, 30,000 foot view, like hell yeah.
Yeah, it is doable. It's just a question of, well, how much of it do you want to do?
Right.
You know, how much of it do you want to do, right? At what other cost do you want to do this, right? Because that might mean foregoing, you know, a new house.
Right.
You know, for several years. That might mean
no Tesla, yo.
Right. That might be
No
foregoing
vacation, yo.
a car. You know, that might be foregoing like that big vacation that you wanted. You know, if you even wanted to get married, that might mean you don't have that big of a wedding.
I still remember
right?
there was a young physician assistant that came on when I was like in my third year of when I was working on my job, and he had a ton of student loan debt. And the number one thing that I remember he kept talking about is I want to get a new car.
Right.
I want to get
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And I want to get a house. And then things would always change. Like he was always thinking like 3, 4, 5 years down the line. But I was just like, dude, like the biggest thing that you got to worry about right now is that student loan debt.
Yeah.
Because it's going to affect so many different things in your life.
Yeah.
And I remember him like, we would just sit and just talk, and I would do the mathematics with him.
Yeah.
And just say, look, like you get that new car. I get that you want that. But think about how much money you can just siphon off to your student loan payment.
I remember that.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember. He was always talking about he wanted a new car, and he was a PA, which is really, really appropriate for this discussion right now. But yeah.
But he was doing really good because he would get a lot of money through or an additional income through overtime.
Yeah.
So he was good with his money, and he listened.
Yeah.
And he delayed a lot of the major decisions and purchases.
Yeah, he eventually did get that new car.
He did, but he did it in a smart way.
Right.
So I'm super proud
over
of him.
years too. Like he waited. So like, from him saying he wanted the new car to him actually getting the car, there were a lot of things that he did financially for himself before he got to that point.
And I think the cool thing, too, is that he educated himself on how to properly invest. So
exactly.
I remember he would come back and say, hey, these are the funds that are in our 401k. Does this make sense? And I'd say yes or no. And then I remember him maximizing that. And then he would find he found his own and started his own IRA and said, I want to use this. And some of the things that he said, I knew he was doing the work. He was like, hey, on my own IRA, like the index funds are way better than what's in the 401k, which is usually the case, right? And then I was like, man, my man is doing the work.
Yeah.
And then he was able to drop $100K off of his student loan debt, like in I think 2 years.
Yeah,
or so.
Exactly. And he ended up getting married.
Yes.
Ended up having a baby.
Yeah.
And was in way better financial, in a way better financial circumstance at that point than when we first met him.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
So
that was
if
a
that
great
PA's
story.
listening, man, you owe me money, yo. How about this, yo? You owe me some money, yo.
That was a great story. No, that literally it was.
I should have Alfred just put the name of the PA like in the show notes or right on here. Be like, yo, put my cash app right there.
No, don't.
Give me my money. All right, here's my QR code.
Bless my
Alfred,
cash app.
Alfred, hook it up.
Bless my cash app.
So MS, our advice is, listen, for me, my thought process is if you really want this, then yes, you should go after it. Like, I think you should always consider the economics, the money, the numbers with any type of decision. But I think ultimately the most important thing is, do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Right? Like if PA school costs $1, but you really hated it, are you going to do it?
Right.
Most would say, hell no. Like I ain't going to spend $1 to do something that I completely hate. Right?
Right.
So I think it's really important to always have that overarching theme of, is this really what you want to do? and this is what you really want to do, then like you said, you can fill out the rest of the equation and find out, are you willing to make certain sacrifices to make this dream come through, as well as did I say?
Come true.
Come true, not through. My bad. Come true, and how can you make this dream come true as well as get the life that you've always wanted? Because let's be honest, like taking care of patients is great. Taking care of people in that fashion is amazing, but also at the same time, we won't be compensated well for that, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So let's be real with that.
Yeah,
so.
I think MS, I'm just going to say that if MS does this, I think MS will be successful. And the reason I think, and I don't mean successful just as a PA, to complete.
Keep going. I'm going to get
PA,
something else. Keep going.
To get, to get through PA school. But I think that MS will be successful financially. And the reason that I think that is because the work is actually being done up front, right? The work is being done up front.
Oh, he's way ahead of the game if he's asking these type of questions.
Well, we don't know if that's a he or she.
Oh, it's a he.
It's a he, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I see his picture, his profile pictures.
Okay. Because you didn't say all that. I was trying to be all
Was
neutral.
it necessary?
Well, yeah, because I didn't know if that was a he or she. So
MS,
but anyway, I thought, let me finish my point. So I think that MS will be successful because the work is being done up front, and it's not an afterthought. Obviously, he is educating himself, very early on in the process, which a lot of people don't even do.
They just go in blindly.
They just go in blindly. We went in blindly. And so
Speak for yourself.
We went in blindly. Okay, Mr. They told me to pick a number and I put maximum on my financial aid. I didn't even put a number. It's like, what?
Did you see that clip that Alfred made? Yeah, maximum. It was true though.
Yo, Alfred be hitting those clips, yo. But so good luck. Let us know what you finally do decide. And how you came to that conclusion.
Don't sleep on military scholarships. Don't sleep on the federal government scholarships like the, what is the health,
National Health Service Corps.
National Health Service Corps.
PSLF.
And also.
State.
Exactly. Do not sleep on going to rural as well as suburban areas where hospitals individually will give you some type of financial aid to make sure that this occurs without you having to fork over so much of your own salary towards your own student loan debt. You can do this financially. You can make this happen. Just know that there's a whole bunch of different options out there.
Yeah.
And like I said, it may not align with the dream that you've always had, but you just may have to just kind of fine tune it a little bit. And oftentimes you'll find out that new dream is way better than.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you have a dream in your head, but you don't know how that's really going to pan out. Like, if you had asked me if my life was going to be like this, 20 years ago, I'd be like, no way.
Yeah.
But
I really hope medical
here
leaders.
I am with you.
I should pinch you, but like wake up from this dream, right?
Snap.
Or this nightmare. But I do hope that medical leaders are listening to this episode because
this is a question, boy.
This is a really interesting question. This is indicative of the times of what people are thinking.
Yeah.
If you're looking for people from certain neighborhoods, from certain
demographics, if you're looking for underrepresented people in medicine, like these are the questions that need to be answered. We look, that's just what it is.
Let's be plain Jane. The majority of people who are applying to medical school are of a certain status. Right? These are the people who don't need financial aid and so forth. The stats are there. It's on the AAMC's website. I don't know if it's on AACOM's website.
I'm not sure, forth. But yeah, it's on AAMC for sure.
Right. But there's a small percentage who don't come from that very strong position and are using medicine as a come up, which is completely fine. But when you have more and more student loan debt and you have these huge financial barriers, what you're doing is you're closing off the ability for these folks to apply to school, to feel like they're welcome here.
Right.
So it's something that I think that they need to address.
Yeah.
Even beyond MS's question as a physician assistant. This is something that I think that we need to address. It's a major issue.
Yeah.
And MS, thank you so much for reaching out to us. He wrote to me through IG.
Okay, great.
So guys, look, it's IG. There's text, right? Let me say the number again. Alfred, put it on the screen. 833-230 2860. You could also email us and let us know what's going on.
Yep.
And that's about it for the show, actually.
Yeah.
So on the next show, though, we're going to talk about something about this card right here that I got. I'm going to read this to you. It says, you are eligible to receive a payment from the Navient Multi-State AG Settlement.
Yay!
On January 13th, 2022, our office announced a multi-state settlement with Navient to resolve allegations of unfair and deceptive student loan services or servicing practices, including steering federal loan borrowers into forbearance instead of counseling them about
Where's my card? Because I definitely fall into that.
Plans. You qualify to receive a payment of approximately
$1.
I know, right?
$1.
Yo. So we're going to talk about this on the next episode. So obviously Navient got their asses sued, class action, and people getting money. So when you guys heard that story, but when y'all heard this story, y'all thought we were crazy when I told you I was in between cases. I was in residency, and I would say, what do I need to do to get you guys to stop calling me? And the number one thing they said was do forbearance.
Yes.
And
same here.
At the time, I didn't know anything else.
Same.
And it turned out that they had other plans. They had other things that they could have told us about.
Yep. Same.
Navient.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
And it's not even a joking matter. You owe us some money, yo. So however amount that they're going to say, I'm not going to say that until the next show. But we're going to talk about that on an upcoming episode of Docs Outside the Box. Mm-hmm. So listen, Justin, Shayla, as well as Dr. Renee, thank you so much for reaching out to us, as well as MS. Thank you for writing. The last thing I was going to say is MS, don't sleep on doing locums as a PA. You can do that also.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Check out locumstory.com. They got stories from a whole bunch of different medical practitioners. It's not just physicians up there. They got stories from PAs up there. Also, locumstory.com. And listen, guys, we're going to catch y'all on the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.